Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, everybody. Bonjour à tous. Moribwanji. Kaina. Moribuina kaina. Ziko mokwambiri. It's such a pleasure to be here again. It's like I get a new lease on life every time I get this very unique opportunity to interact with you. I suspect you were told that I'm going to tell you a lot of things that you don't know. I start with that disclaimer. Nothing whatsoever that I'm going to speak with you that you don't know. Is that clear? The other important disclaimer is that I am going to speak in this session and you listen. That's not what this is intended to be. Because the reason why I got on the plane and suffered those long hours, you know, never mind that I have done it over and over again, but every time I get on the plane, I say a prayer. I say, oh, I hope I get there. The reason why I am enduring these swollen feet, 8 hours to Amsterdam, then 8 hours to Newark, then 4 hours in a car, because I came during rush hour. I'm sure there are some people from Uganda, and they will testify to the traffic jams. I know Ugandans, we are always mourning and groaning about the traffic jams in Uganda. But the traffic jam that was there yesterday, there was an accident, a whole 4 hours between the airport and the... But the reason why I say yes each time, I blessedly get asked by Heather. You know, Heather asks, apparently I am one of the people that, she tells me, I'm one of the first ones she asks, are you able to come and join us at the training this year? I say, yeah! The real reason why I do that is because I derive real exquisite pleasure in interacting with young leaders, people who have passion for leadership. Because I believe, sincerely, that we, the 60 plus and whoever, we have successfully messed up your world. We have successfully messed up your world, and it is up to you to unmess the world. And so whatever I say, especially in the next hour and a half hours, if it threatens to mess you further, stop me and say, excuse me, don't mess us up. Because our intention is to unmess the world. And I think Global Health, the intention of having advisors of my age, 60 plus, 40 plus, is to interact with you, share with you things that we think are important, but to enable you to put your hand up and say, shut up. I heard that all my life, and I don't believe it. And that's the reason why I subscribed, and I am going to go on this fellowship, and I'm going to change the world. Have you been told that you are required to transform first yourself, second your host institution, wherever you are going to be posted, and third that country, fourth the world. So your terms of reference are pretty, but they begin with you. That's why I think I was asked to be one of the early interveners, because I believe that whatever you do in life begins with you. You cannot transform others if you yourself are not willing and able, and you are not transformable. So I hope you have been transformed in the last 3 minutes that I've taken to say this. Thank you for putting this slide up. because it is important, and that's where our journey and our experience, I want us, our journey and our experience, to start with what is important. This is the most important slide. And the reason why it is the most important slide is every time I get asked to interact with a group, especially people of your stature and caliber, I ask myself, should I prepare a PowerPoint presentation or I shouldn't? Because honestly, you know, a PowerPoint presentation is supposed to have power. Okay? It is also supposed to have points in it. But my experience, maybe some of your experience, is quite often people who prepare PowerPoint, they forget to put power in there. And you look, first of all, you see the slides, you say, where is the power? Where is the power? You don't find it. Then you say, where is the point? And they go through a set of 15 slides, and up to the end, and there is not even one point. So the reason why I'm saying this from the beginning, I am appealing to you, if there is no power in this 10 slides. But if you find no point whatsoever, don't say it, because they won't invite me again. So if there are no points, and if you come to the conclusion that, now, what is all this about? Don't tell them. Just be kind, okay? This first slide of a PowerPoint presentation is critical, because the journey to reflect on who you are begins by your name. Some of you have already heard, because I said there is nothing I'm going to tell you that you don't know. You have heard that the three most important themes in your life is I am, I have, I can. Those are three things. If you forget anything else, don't. So every time you take up a venture, like all of you are going to take in this country, all of you are going to take in Malawi, in Uganda, in Burundi, and where else? Sorry? In Zambia. Every time you have to say who you are. I am. So, my name's Noerine Kaleeba. I have 4 PhDs. That's important also. But of the 4, only one did I pick a pen and a paper and whatever, did research. The 3 others have been bestowed upon me. And that's also very important. You can get a PhD by just staying in a classroom and working your gray hair off your hair, or you can get a PhD by doing concrete work that the world recognizes. And Dundee University in Scotland bestows upon you a doctorate of law by what you have done on the ground. So I appreciate that. The first one I got was from my own country. How many are from Uganda? Let me see. Nkumba University bestowed upon me the first ever honorary doctorate, and then the rest is history. That's very important. Very important also is what I have. You know, you say, I am, I have, I can. So when you reflect upon yourself as a person, you say what I am. I am Noerine Kaleeba. I am black and beautiful. I am blessed. I am. You'll come to that conclusion after we have interacted. You say, what is that woman? I am. But I have is as important. Do you have skills? I have skills. Do you have faith? I have faith. It doesn't matter whether it's Christian, Islam, or paganism, but you do have faith. You have faith. We are, as a species, humans have a special faith. I know I have many friends who are atheists. They don't believe in any religion. They say they don't have faith. I say, no, but you do have faith. So having faith is critical. Having exposure and networks, which you are doing, beginning this week, having and building your networks, those I have. That's how come I got appended to the Global Health Corps program. Because I was born in a village very far from anywhere near Kampala. And as I was growing up, I didn't know that I would be at Yale University regularly to interact with inspirational young people. So, but I worked for it. Went through the best school, Mount St. Mary's, Namagunga. You know, those of you who are from Uganda know that's the only school in the world, that develops leaders. The only school. But equally, I can. So I am, I have, and you list what you have. I can. What can you do? If you can't do nothing whatsoever, what are you doing in this room? Why did you ever why did you apply to be invited to this fellowship? So going through the first slide, I'll stop there. Second slide is when who is doing slides? Oh, I am. Okay. You see? You see? This one is where I sit down and ask some interaction from you guys. This is why we are here. We want to transform this continent and get to a stage. We want to anchor ourselves in two areas, and one area is the United States of America. Those of you who are going to be placed here in this country, don't be disillusioned. The reason why is because you are going to transform Africa, even without going to Africa. And that's why I was asked to come here, because I come from the best country in Africa. It is called Uganda. So I would like some of you just stand up and go and touch the country where you are going to be placed, because we want to know who is going to do what. Those who are going to Africa. Let's start with those who are going to Africa. Stand up. Go. And do we have a pointer anywhere? Those who are going where? In which country? You are going to Rwanda. So where are the Rwandese? Uganda? Okay. Malawi, I didn't see any Malawi. Who is going to Malawi? Come and show us Malawi. Oh, you went there. Sorry, the facilitator was sitting only on one side. Okay, you went to, yeah. So you are going to speak Chichewa. You're going to learn to speak Chichewa. Because I worked and lived in Malawi for 3 years, and that language is beautiful. But if you don't speak it, people forget about you. Since you can't speak Chichewa, so what do you want? Why do you want to interact with us? This is, again, important, and I don't know whether this slide has power, but it has the point that you, with us and all of us, we have collectively decided that we are going to change things, especially in the area of health and development. We are going to change the way things work. Sometimes you say to yourself, but how can I do that? They will only just a pair, just two humans in a huge organization, which has its own constitution, it has its own mission and vision and whatever. How can I change anything in an organization? You can. Don't forget. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Because we are transformational leaders. That's what you're supposed to be. Are you not? Has somebody told you that? That you're supposed to be transformational leaders. And you're supposed to be innovative. You're supposed to have analytical skills. You're supposed to have communication styles that are different from those of us who say, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. Amen. So when you, after you have been, and last year I addressed the alumni who are soon to be, and I said, when you have, after you have been, this map of Africa, in the areas that you are going to be, should never be the same. Otherwise, why would you spend a whole life, a whole year out of your life, suspend whatever else that you would have been doing, and go out there to be a tourist? I mean, you don't have to suffer this whole week and this whole month to be a tourist. You just get on a plane. And in fact, it's cheaper to be just a tourist because you pay for your ticket in advance. You go, you don't have to interact with anybody. You know, you put yourself, but you have not chosen to be tourists. So this map and the dynamics of what Africa will be after you have been will never be the same because you are transformational leaders. I was trained. Many of you, all of you have done master's programs. Have you been on master's programs? Yeah, or some of you who have been. You know, you are trained how to do a PowerPoint presentation. And all you have to do is just prepare a PowerPoint presentation. Whether it has power or has points, doesn't matter. I was told that when you do a PowerPoint presentation, you can see that how much faith I have in these things. You do an outline of what is supposed to be. Now, the good news on this one is that I'm not going to go through all of these, but these are the things that as we interact and communicate with each other, we should touch. We are going to touch the context. I am going to briefly, we are going to briefly, you and I, outline the context from what you know on this continent. I'm sorry because I am coming from that context. I will not speak very much about the context in this country, the dynamics in this country. I'll speak about there because I am an authority there also. Here, I'm a little bit shaky. I have opinions, but those opinions are supposed, you know, an activist and an advocate, should not just express opinions. You are supposed to have evidence, but evidence-based. We shall come back to that. So this is we are going to speak about these countries, which are generally, quite often, except for Zimbabwe and Zambia, these countries are often referred to increasingly as the Horn countries. The Horn of Africa, you know. You see the Horn? Do you know the Horn? It is this one. I don't have a pointer. It's the Horn of Africa. So these countries is basically what we are going to be talking about, including Zimbabwe and Zambia. We are including Zimbabwe and Zambia because we are nice people. We like this. But these two countries don't belong to the Horn. But we will include them because we are increasingly concerned about them. I also wanted to show you a picture, a photograph, beautiful photograph. I don't know, when you see this picture, of course it has words on it, so you are going to cheat. When you look at the photograph, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? Yes, I've seen you. Yes? Sorry? I can't hear you. In transformational leaders are supposed to, hey, even stand up. It's me. Yeah. Yeah, it's me in what context? Anything else you see on this picture? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Actually, I'm seeing a happy couple behind there.
A happy couple.
Yeah, then.
Hey, is there anything else?
It sure does look like a happy couple in love, because there's a heart like a...
Yeah. Once upon a time, I fell in love with a man who married me. You know, this is a black and white, by the way. In those days, there were no colored photographs. Those of us who got married in that time, there were no colored photographs. So there is love, there is a couple, there is happy, and in fact, I'm so impressed that you noticed it is me. It is me. Because I was still young. Once upon a time, I was young. Once upon a time, I was beautiful and attracted and got married to a man who pledged his love to me until death does us part, which tragically happened in 1987. That's part of the story that we are going to intertwine in this discussion. This man, Christopher Kaleeba, was my first love. He hasn't been my last, because since he died, I have tried. He became the father of my 4 biological daughters, and one of them actually, one of my 4 biological daughters, has been a fellow, continues to be a fellow. So you are stepping in historical feet of transformational leaders. Christine is a fellow currently in Uganda, placed at Beira, Uganda. And Christine was the last product of that union. And when this guy was struck by AIDS and diagnosed in 1986, Christine was 2 years old. And when he died, she was just about 3. Today, Christine is 30. And she's a transformational leader, like all of you will be. I am very proud that the Kaleeba family has given us, at least made a small contribution to young people who are saying today that our world should never be the same as yesterday, because it's not adequate, it's not good, it's not helping us, so we need to change it. Christopher died on January 23rd, 1987. But before he died, we had set up a support group. Some of you may have heard about HIV-related support groups. People with HIV mobilizing themselves to support each other and also transform the attitude and the understanding and the story of the AIDS pandemic. And that's what we did. In Uganda, starting in Uganda, working through Africa, and at global level. When Christopher was diagnosed, the attitude, the understanding, and therefore the response on HIV was so negative and so bad. Today in Uganda, people will put their hand up and say, TASO, the organization we started after my husband was diagnosed, has been a key pillar in transforming people's lives. That's partly why I am here with you, to say to you that there is evidence, and you will meet another guy this afternoon, Barbara, this afternoon, who will say that what Noerine says for Africa in Uganda is critical, is as true here in the United States of America as it is in Blantyre, as it is in Lusaka, because the things we have to do to change attitude, to change, to change prejudices, and to change the way the world operates are very much the same throughout the world. That is why also I wanted for us, so most of what we'll be talking about, I've learned through this journey of transforming the world and attitudes of people who are infected, affected, and those who are hoping to protect themselves against HIV. That is my story. You will hear about the story, but today the story is going to be based on resilience. There is no you cannot possibly transform the world, and especially where you are going out there, if you don't cultivate an attribute called resilience. It's an English, in Uganda, Mama B, what is it called? I don't know. I don't know. Because the reason why I don't have a translation in Uganda for resilience, because it has many descriptions. In my language, a word that you can transform doesn't have to have too many descriptions. But you see in English, every word has so many descriptions. When you try to put it in my language, it doesn't work. But as you can see, and that's why I said, you will not see here anything you haven't heard before. Resilience is ability to recover relatively fast, not take your time. Say, I'll recover next week or the year after. Relatively fast and comprehensively from severe events. That's what happened to me. Because you can imagine being told that your husband has AIDS and you are a 32-year-old mother of 4 children. That is traumatic. Now, I know today, if I had waited, if I had laid down and waited to die, for example, because I was told that my husband was going to die, which happened very soon, but I was also told that I would soon follow him. So the option I had was to lie down and wait to die. Now, waiting to die is a long time, because we don't know how long it takes for any of us to die. Today, I would have waited for 27 years. That's a long time to wait to die. I'm glad I did not wait. I chose to do something about this mysterious disease called AIDS. So you have to recover relatively fast. Resilience also means that you maintain competences even under severe strain. You remember the things I said, I have skills. You cannot be resilient if you don't maintain those competences. I was glad that by the time the diagnosis came through my door, I was already a trained physiotherapist. I already had a job. And this is what is important. Some of you will be working with organizations that are aspiring to raise the status of people. But those people, their status cannot be raised if they don't have access to education and information. So, and I'm not going to go through all the bullets, because I'm sure you know that. But the most important last bullet is to be bent, but not. That's resilience. And through this training, I beg you, and through the exposure you have for a whole year, look for opportunities to strengthen your resilience and to adopt a never give up attitude. I know, because I'm an advisor to this program, I have opportunity to interact with fellows. A fellow comes with a story. He says, and he says, for me, this one, I am going back to the United States because for me, where I came from, they don't behave like that. I don't know why these people don't change. I came here to change them. I've been working with 3 weeks. Nothing has changed. So we sit in a counseling session, and then we start the journey of exploring the 6 P's. This is again a very important slide. This is life, life. And I know that there will be people during the course who will amplify on some of these issues. But I wanted for us to have a flavor of them so that by the time you come to amplify, you will be the first person to put up your hand and say, that doesn't relate. What P? Whatever he's talking about, what P does that relate to? Now, there is a theoretical framework which says that as a person, as an organization, as a nation, in order to build and strengthen your resilience, you must develop your 6 P's. You must, first of all, identify them and then work towards them if you don't already have them. The purpose of your life. When you wake up in the morning and you say, I was born here to do what? I was born a girl to do what? I went to college. What is the purpose of your life? What is the purpose of the organization? The organizations that you will go to work with, ask them. Some of them will rattle off their mission statement. But when you go to ask the staff what the mission statement means and how the purpose, they say, the what? The who? There are organizations who recruit people to work with them, but don't take time to embed them in the mission and vision, and therefore the purpose why that organization is there. What are the principles? What are the, non-negotiables? Growing up as a girl, I remember situations where you would be, fighting or sort of, is it fighting? Maybe fighting for space and say, you, and you draw a line on the sand and say, if you cross there, you are dead. Anything else is acceptable, but beyond this line, some of you will know, particularly those from Uganda, that as people, as human rights activists and advocates, we've been struggling in Uganda. Because recently, and I would like us to have some time to discuss that, particularly those of you who are going to Uganda. My country, the best one, I told you the best country in the world, has recently turned towards a trend to go legal on every issue. Whatever issues we are being challenged with in development, in health, let's find a law to strengthen our ability to deal with that issue. Over the last 6 months, and let me start with the people from Uganda, how many draconian laws have been passed over the last, and I'm saying draconian, being very, very specific about this. Ugandans, or those who know about Uganda. How many? Can you? Yes? Yes. Yes. It is called the HIV Prevention and Management Bill. It is not a law yet because His Excellency hasn't signed yet. That's the most recent. Anybody knows another one? There has been the HIV Prevention and Management bill, which was recently passed by Parliament. Anybody knows another one?
Yeah, there is also the Anti-Homosexuality Act.
The Anti-Homosexuality Act. That is a law because it has been signed by the president. Anybody knows another one? Another one, another human. No, let's not. Our international friends. Do our international friends, do the international fellows, these transformational leaders, do you know any other law that has been passed? Actually, it has been repealed. It is a bill. It's gone back into bill mode. Another one. Another one? So we know the Anti-Homosexuality Act that has been passed. We know the HIV Prevention and Management Bill.
Isn't there a miniskirt bill?
Sorry?
The length of your miniskirt?
Yes. You see, she's calling it the miniskirt. Yeah, exactly. She's calling it the miniskirt bill. It is actually, what is its name? The Ugandans. That bill, which is called the miniskirt bill. Anti-pornography bill. Anti-pornography. And I'm so happy you've called it the miniskirt bill. You know what has happened? The bill is an anti-pornography bill. But the Ugandans and the media and everybody has picked the skirts, has picked the gender oppressive clause from the bill, the gender oppressive, and has highlighted it. And girls, unfortunately, have been harassed, molested, because they say there is the miniskirt bill. So I'm glad you called it that, because that's what the media and the people have brought it up. The reason why we came to the other one, there's one more. One other bill, yes.
There is also Public Order Management Act.
Exactly. And because we may forget, I hope you don't allow us to forget, especially those of us who are from Uganda. Those four, for me, and for many Ugandans, have characterized the very, very clear wave towards punitive, legislative solutions to things that people feel, since I don't understand this, let me legislate and punish whoever represents in my head that particular aspect. So these laws and bills fall in the non-negotiables, once you know. But then when you are in a situation like that, how do you draw your line? As a person, how do you draw your line? Do you hide behind the fence and say, for me, I am a fellow? Or do you go to the street and buy tomatoes and start throwing to people? So we need to have some time to discuss that particular element. Let's go through quickly. P for product, and this is about branding. What do you represent? When people look at you, what do they see? What is your brand? P for proof, evidence of what works. If you say, like for example, I keep giving the example of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has proof that whatever they put in that bottle, the concoction which goes in a bottle called Coca-Cola, works. Because children cry for Coca-Cola. Adults, some of you, I think, Coke addicts. Some of us, you keep, because there is proof. When I was growing up as a child, and if I had malaria or whatever, and I was told that I was being taken to the Dr. Ahmad, because I grew up in a village, and there was one Indian doctor called Dr. Ahmad, and he was a magic doctor because he cured everything. So if I was told that the next day I was going to go to be taken to Dr. Hamada, I took it for granted, because that's what usually happened, that I would get an injection. I would be injected. But my mother would always say, don't worry. After the injection, you'll get a Coke. So what is in it? You know that pot of Coke? There is water. There is gas. There is sugar. And some addictive something, whatever it is. So when people look at you, what do you want? For people to say, oh, you're Musaji, that man, that woman, this is what, That's what evidence and proof. Partnership is about the networks you create. There is a Luganda saying, because I am a Muganda, I keep drawing from my culture, tell me who you associate with, and I will tell you your character. Just tell me who you, and then I'll tell you what your character is. The last P, which I won't dwell on too much, is what you are, or what the organization is, sustainable. The only reason, the word posterity, I understand in English, means sustainability. And that's why, the only reason I don't put a sustainability, because I also work as a consultant, and with consultants, you have to coin things so that they look mysterious. And this P seems to work for me when I'm talking with people. Now, I wanted to, this will go through, is out there where you are going, and the story of my life, of how we managed to transform people's minds and thinking, is by turning ourselves into advocates. Regardless of what it is that you are going to be doing in your host institution, our expectations as advisors to this program is that you are going to be an advocate. You can no longer, the world cannot be changed by you saying, for me, I am a laboratory quality control expert. Therefore, what goes on around me, unless it affects my work in the laboratory, I'm not going to get involved. Even when I see things going wrong, my terms of reference are related to the laboratory, because don't forget, you are supposed to be a transformational leader. But the trick is, how do you advocate successfully without, because the issues that you might disagree with would be issues that people will fight and kill for. They don't want them to be touched. They do, people, especially people of my age, who will constitute a large number of people that you are going to work with. You know, don't feel that they are formed in their ideas. How do you advocate successfully? What we did, we began by praising, and I take it from me, our leaders on the African continent respond to praise. It means you have to do your research and find something they have done that is good. Don't tell them lies. If it's the Honorable Minister, I really appreciate that you successfully tarmacked the road from Ntungamo to, I say, tarmacked the who? So what you praise them about, you should have done some research about it. That's what we did. We did our research about the response of government to polio and other pandemic diseases in my country. So every time we would go to push an issue on the agenda for HIV, we would start, Mr. President, by the way, we started with from a position of advantage in the sense that after my husband was diagnosed, I took, deriving from my I am, I have, and I can, I took advantage of a meeting with President Museveni to put my hand up. And it wasn't difficult because I was the only woman in that meeting. That meeting had been invited by President Museveni to constitute the first committee to respond to HIV in Uganda. And all the people who had been invited were men. But I went to Dr. Sam Okware, who was heading that group that was going to meet President Museveni, and I begged him and I said, Sam, you know, my husband has just died of AIDS. I want to be in that meeting when you meet the president. And I went, I met. You know, those were days when President Museveni was able and willing, more willing and more able to meet with people who speak to him. And I was the only woman there, and I put my hand up and said, hey, you, what is it? I said, Your Excellency, I would like you to appoint me to this committee because my husband has just died of AIDS. I would like to be on this committee. And then he said, what about you? I said, Your Excellency, I don't know about me. Do you have AIDS also? I said, I don't know, which was the truth at the time. Because after my husband was diagnosed, I took an HIV test. But when the doctor gave me the results, he said, and this was in England, you should read about the story. It's published. So we are not going to go through the story of my setting up TASO. Especially for those of you who are Ugandans, you should have read it before you came to the coast. I said, the doctor who had tested me in England had given me the results and had said, Mrs. Kaleeba, we don't know what is happening in your blood because the virus doesn't show. The virus doesn't show. Are you sure this is your husband? And I said, yes, he's my husband. Then he asked me intimate questions. Have you been intimate with him? And I said, as a Muganda woman, intimacy with your husband is obligatory. We even had a discussion in Uganda, and this was a domestic bill. We were discussing, the legislature in Uganda failed to successfully discuss the domestic bill. And one of the clauses that brought so much emotional discussion was whether rape ever happens in marriage. The women were saying, women who are married regularly get raped by their husbands. And the legislators who were men in that meeting said, no way. I mean, if I marry you, how can I rape you then? I mean, I am the man, I should have sexual intercourse every time I want it, whether you want it or not. And the women were saying, well, but that's rape, that's marital rape. And the discussion ended there, and the bill was shelved. So the doctor said that my results were, he couldn't understand why the virus wasn't showing. And he said to me that you would need to do another test after 6 months to confirm whether you have HIV or not. I made my own decision after that I wasn't going to do that test again. That whatever was going to happen in my life was going to be done as if I have HIV. And I'm glad I took that decision, because I understood very early. Of course, some of you know about HIV and others don't know that much. So I think some of you have said, HIV, that's another issue. Me, I'm working on health and development. At that time, at least I took the decision that if I had HIV, I wasn't going to pass it on to anybody else. And if I didn't have it, I wasn't going to get it from anybody. And for both positions, what you have to do is the same. So I'm glad I took that decision. Today, I'm glad that I took a subsequent test. I did, by the way, my second test after that one, 1986. I took it in Malawi, in Blantyre, when I was working in Malawi, when there was this whole global encouragement for leaders to test. Know your status. And that's when I took my second test, living in Malawi. And I found that I didn't have HIV. Today, I think we know that there is a phenomenon called discordance, serodiscordance. Even in high endemic countries, there are couples, sexually connected couples. You know, you can be a couple, but you are not sexually connected, where one may be HIV positive and the other one is not HIV positive yet. And that's a very, very important caveat to put on, yet, because we know that with consistent subsequent exposure, the previously negative couple can get infected. How did we get there? Advocacy tips. Tell, praise, point out areas of engagement. I would like to encourage you to go through these after here, or if there is one of those that you want to come back to, we can come back to, but there is a long list of the tips that worked for me to accompany the process of transformation, transforming Ugandans' attitudes, practices, and thinking about HIV. Getting to ourselves from a situation where in 1993, the seroprevalence among pregnant women in Kampala was 40%, 40%. We worked collectively as Ugandans, as Africans, as a global community, that even in Uganda, we got the seroprevalence among pregnant women. Now I'm talking only about pregnant women, to be between 8 and 12. And within the general population, the prevalence is 7.3. So you can see, boom. But not only that, importantly, changing attitudes towards those who know or have loved ones who have HIV. You'll hear a bit more about this in the US experience from Phil this afternoon. Changing attitudes by people, we ourselves who were in there is another Luganda saying which says that the parent of the dead person is one who touches the worst, the smelly parts. Because if you're dead and smelly, among the Baganda, that's the worst situation. Dead and smelly, that's very bad. But then you have to be handled for your funeral. And the saying goes that it's only your parents or your close loved ones who will dare touch you if you are dead and smelly. So we took that up and said, it's us who have to face HIV squarely and then encourage others to join us. Today, I live in a country, I'm proud to say, where the AIDS diagnosis is no longer a death sentence. And thanks to the global solidarity, because that would have not been possible if we had not marshaled, if we had worked in our cocoon as Ugandans and not joined hands with the Eric Sawyers of this world, with the Winston Zulus of Zambia. You know, it would have not been possible if we had not created that network to change attitudes. So whatever you do in advocacy, This one, the first bullet, demonstrate analytical knowledge about the issue. Don't be like, during this discussion about homosexuality, by the way, I led in Uganda a group of concerned Ugandans, indigenous Ugandans, to advise and influence our leaders not to sign those 4 bills. And we lost it. We lost it because our leaders chose to work emotionally, use their personal prejudices. I remember being in a meeting with legislators where one woman member of parliament stood up and said, you know, these homosexuals, we must lock them up. Because, you know, they go to our schools and they teach our children how to do homosexual things. And I said, okay. And they have even developed a curriculum. So I stood up and I said, okay, where is the curriculum? Have you seen the curriculum? He said, the curriculum? No, I haven't seen it, but I was told, by someone who was told by someone who was told who had seen it. Another one, when we were discussing the HIV prevention bill, said, these people who intentionally transmit HIV to others must be arrested and locked up. Because in my village, and this is again a leader, a member of parliament, in my village, a primary teacher infected 200 children with HIV. A primary teacher. And infected 200 children with HIV. Now, what do you do with a man like that? And I said, okay, in your village, you are a member of parliament. In your village, this man infects 200, and you wait to come to the workshop in Hotel Africana. To a workshop. And then you tell us that, and I said, but okay, the penal code in Uganda already provides for defilement, already provides for sex with the minors. So, but you didn't feel empowered to use any of those provisions, but to actually address that issue that you are bringing here in the workshop. And she said, yeah, but you see, it is difficult. I mean, you know, these people who intentionally transmit HIV and these homosexuals and yeah, I've never seen them. But I've heard all these stories being told. That's why you cannot be an advocate by hearing what story has been told by who. I want to finish because I had hoped that we would interact, and I want to create that space. What is the time? Okay, I wanted to, this picture is very nice. It's one of my favorite pictures. And with it, I sit down. One of the requirements of an advocate and a resilient person who is going to transform the world is that you are resourceful. And the most resourceful humans I know are women, especially on the African continent. This woman is completely resourceful. She's leaving her husband with all her children and the jerrycans and the basin. But the point I would like to make on this, but when you are being resourceful and creative, you must also be safe. Now, this woman is not safe. She's creative, she's resourceful, she's taken all her children. She's not leaving anything behind. But those of you who are going in all these countries that you are going to work with, I would like to appeal to you that remain safe. That's how some of us have survived and have made a difference on the world. Don't expose yourself to unnecessary risks. Because successful, resilient people are not dead. Dead people don't make a difference. And so wearing a helmet, those of you who will be using the borders, in those countries where you're going to be using borders. I hope, Heather, I don't know whether Heather is here, that is a non-negotiable. We cannot send these young people out there to save the world, but kill themselves in the process. So be resourceful, be innovative, but don't be like her. Be safe. Thank you.